My name is Rachel, I'm 31, and I'm sharing a story that turned my life upside down. It might sound like one of those intense online confessions, but I promise every detail is true. Just a few months ago, I was an ordinary homemaker in Portland, Oregon, married to Brian, a sales manager at a tech firm. For 6 years, our life felt stable, even routine. I managed the household, he worked long hours, and we shared quiet weekends with friends. But something felt off. It started with small shifts in Brian's behavior. He began staying late at work, claiming deadlines or client dinners, arriving home at 10 or 11 p.m. Then there was the new cologne, Armani, a scent he'd never worn before. His wardrobe changed too, from casual to sharply pressed shirts and tailored pants, like he was dressing to impress someone new. His phone habits were the biggest red flag. Brian used to leave his phone lying around, but now it was always in his hand, screen down, notifications silenced. When I asked who he was texting, he'd mutter work and pivot the conversation. Sometimes I'd catch him smiling at his screen in a way he hadn't looked at me in ages. I tried to brush it off as paranoia. 6 years of marriage, a home we bought together in Hawthorne, plans to start a family. Surely I was overthinking it. But the unease in my gut grew, like I was sharing my life with a stranger wearing my husband's face. One Thursday afternoon, everything unraveled. I was tidying our home office when our shared iPad pinged with a message. I wasn't trying to pry, but the notification flashed on the screen. Can't wait for our weekend trip. She still has no clue. My heart stopped. My hands shook so badly I nearly dropped the device. I read the message over and over, the word she burning into me. That was me. The weekend trip was betrayal. The sender was M. When Brian came home that night, I was waiting in the living room, the iPad open on the coffee table, displaying the damning conversation. His easy smile vanished when he saw my face. "Rachel, I can explain," he said, but his tone lacked urgency. "Explain what?" I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. "Who's M, the trip, or why I'm she in your messages?" he sighed, running a hand through his hair, a nervous habit I knew too well. But this time there was no anxiety, just relief, like he was finally done hiding. "It's Melissa," he said, slumping into an armchair as if this were a minor annoyance. "Melissa from work. Yes, we're together." His coldness stunned me more than the admission. No guilt, no regret, just a man tired of pretending. "How long?" I asked, clinging to composure. 6 months, he replied, as casually as if discussing the weather. "I didn't mean for you to find out like this, Rachel, but maybe it's for the best. We both know this hasn't been working." 6 months, half a year of lies while I planned our future. I knew Melissa, his new supervisor, 34, recently divorced, always polished at company events. She was everything I wasn't, career-driven, independent, glamorous, and apparently a marriage wrecker. "Why, Brian?" My voice cracked. He looked at me, his eyes sharp with a cruelty I didn't recognize. "Because I needed a real woman, Rachel, not an insecure, aimless housewife. Melissa challenges me, inspires me. She has ambition, her own life. You just exist for me, and it's suffocating." His words hit like a physical blow. I'd always believed that nurturing our home, supporting his career, being there for him was what made a marriage. But to him, I was a shadow, a convenience, not a partner. The silence that followed was crushing. I heard the clock ticking, the fridge humming, the faint hum of traffic outside. Inside, I was hollow, my soul retreating from the pain. "You're right," I said at last, standing. "This hasn't been working." He looked surprised, expecting tears or a fight, but I refused to give him that. That night, I called my sister, Lisa, who lived across town. She picked me up without a word, and I left our Hawthorne house with just a suitcase, leaving Brian to his new life and his real woman. But that was only the beginning. The betrayal I was about to face from those I trusted most would teach me a brutal lesson about loyalty. The next day, I reached out to my best friends, Lauren and Nicole. We'd been inseparable since college, bridesmaids at each other's weddings, confidants through everything. If anyone could help me through this, it was them. We met at our favorite spot, the Blue Star Cafe in downtown Portland. I arrived early, ordered my usual chai latte, and waited at our corner table. When they walked in, something was off. No warm hugs, no worried glances, just awkwardness. Lauren gave a stiff, "Hi, Rachel," and Nicole offered a distant wave, sitting as far from me as the table allowed. "You won't believe what happened," I started, desperate for their support. "Brian's been cheating for 6 months. With Melissa from his work." I expected shock, anger, comfort. Instead, they exchanged a glance that said everything. "Rachel," Nicole said, stirring her coffee nervously, "we know." The world tilted. "You know." Since when? Since the beginning, Lauren admitted, avoiding my eyes. I saw them together at that Italian place near his office, back in October. 5 months. They'd known for 5 months and said nothing. The betrayal cut deeper than Brian's. And you didn't tell me? My voice shook, my calm crumbling. It wasn't our place, Nicole said, but her words rang hollow. We didn't want to meddle in your marriage. Meddle? I nearly shouted, drawing stares from other tables. You're my best friends, I'd have told you. Lauren's next words shattered me. Rachel, maybe this is for the best. Brian hasn't seemed happy for a while, and Melissa, she's incredible. She's got a big career, she's independent, sophisticated. Maybe he needs someone who matches his drive. I couldn't believe it. My best friend, my sister by choice, was defending my cheating husband. He deserves someone better, I echoed, stunned. Are you serious? It's not that you're not great, Nicole chimed in, making it worse. It's just you and Brian want different things. He's ambitious, wants to travel, grow. You're more domestic, traditional. Domestic, traditional. Like those were flaws. Like my choice to build a home to prioritize Brian's dreams made me less worthy of loyalty. So I deserved this, I asked, tears streaming down my face. To be lied to for months? That's not what we mean, Lauren said weakly. Maybe you're better as friends. Brian always said you felt more like a sister than a wife. That broke me, not just the meeting, but 15 years of friendship. I stood, grabbed my purse, and looked at the women I'd trusted most. You're pathetic, I said, my voice steady for the first time. Congratulations for siding with the man who ruined a marriage instead of the friend who was always there for you. I walked out, leaving them and our history behind. In one day, I'd lost my husband and my closest friends. But the worst was yet to come. Brian, Lauren, and Nicole weren't done. They wanted to erase me entirely. And in the days ahead, I'd learn just how far people go to justify their betrayals. Back at Lisa's house, I was a wreck. It wasn't just the betrayal or the loss. It was realizing my entire life had been built on lies. The people I loved most never truly saw me. Lisa found me sobbing in her guest room, my temporary sanctuary. She sat beside me, wrapped me in a hug, and said, "Tell me everything." I poured it all out. Brian, Melissa, Lauren, Nicole, and my crumbling sense of self. What hurts most, I told her, isn't even the cheating. It's how he made me feel like nothing, like all these years of supporting him, keeping our home, were worthless. Lisa listened, then said, "Rachel, you're stronger than you know. Stronger than any of them think." I didn't feel strong, just broken, but her words sparked something small, a flicker of resolve. On Monday, I returned to my job as an administrative assistant at a veterinary clinic. I loved the work even if it wasn't ambitious. I craved routine, something to anchor me. But at the clinic, whispers stopped when I passed and pitying glances followed me. Word had spread, likely through Lauren or Nicole. During lunch, my coworker Jessica approached, hesitant. "Rachel, have you seen Brian's Facebook?" I hadn't. I'd deleted my social media to shield myself from more pain, but Jessica's face told me I needed to look. She showed me her phone. Brian had posted a long message on Sunday, painting our separation as my fault. He claimed he'd tried to save our marriage, but I was controlling, unstable, suffocating. He said he'd found happiness with someone who understood him. The post had dozens of likes and comments from people I knew, calling me clingy and saying Brian deserved better. I felt sick. He'd turned me into the villain, himself the hero. But the real blow came that night at Lisa's. She was waiting in the kitchen, her face a mix of fury and determination. "We need to talk," she said. "I found out something about Brian and Melissa you need to hear." A former coworker of Brian's had called her. "What they did to you isn't new," Lisa said, her eyes blazing. "They've done it before at least twice. Melissa targets married men to boost her career, and Brian's not some innocent victim, he's in on it. There's more," she continued. "This coworker wants to meet you. She has information that could help. But Rachel, she says you need to be careful. This might be more dangerous than you think." Dangerous. The word chilled me. I'd thought this was just heartbreak, but now it felt like something darker. "She wants to meet tomorrow at a cafe during lunch," Lisa said. "Her name's Amanda, and she says it's urgent." I barely slept, torn between wanting to walk away and needing the truth. By morning, a new feeling stirred, curiosity, not just about Amanda's information, but about who I could become if I stopped seeing myself through others' eyes. I called Amanda. Her voice was tense, almost a whisper. "Rachel, I worked with Brian and Melissa for 2 years. I saw what they did to you and to others. Meet me at Pearl District Cafe at noon, but be careful who you trust. This is bigger than just an affair." At the cafe, Amanda was waiting, nervous, her eyes darting to the door. She was in her 40s, hair in a neat bun, glasses framing her face. "Thank you for coming," she said, her hands shaky as she ordered coffee. I got my chai latte, clinging to routine in this surreal moment. "What do you know?" I asked. She took a breath. "What happened to you was planned. Melissa has a system. She targets married men who can advance her career, seduces them, and uses their guilt to manipulate them. Married men are easier, they have more to lose." "Why me?" I asked. "It's not personal," she said, opening a folder of documents, emails, texts, photos. "Sarah Martinez from marketing, Jennifer Walsh from accounting, same story. Their marriages ended and the men got promotions soon after dating Melissa." "Why tell me this?" I pressed. "Because Sarah was my best friend," Amanda said, her voice breaking. "I watched her lose everything, her home, her kids, her confidence. I did nothing then, I won't stay silent now." "And Brian?" I asked, dreading the answer. "He's not a victim," she said firmly. "He helps Melissa. He spies on the wives, finds their weaknesses. They craft stories to justify the affairs like the one he posted online." Anger surged, not the raw pain of before, but a sharp, focused fury. "There's more," Amanda said. "The company's director, Patricia Williams' husband, is involved. There's talk he takes bribes to ignore Melissa's actions. If that's true, it's illegal." I nodded. "And I could help expose it." "Yes," she said, "but be careful. They're ruthless when threatened." Leaving the cafe, I felt transformed. I had evidence, purpose, not for revenge but for justice, to protect other women from this pain. I needed a plan and allies. That night, I told Lisa everything. She paused, then asked, "Are you sure you want to dive into this? You could walk away, start fresh." "I could," I said, "but then they'll keep doing this. I can't let that happen." "So what's next?" she asked. For the first time, I felt a spark of who I could be. We fight back. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe so you never miss any of our upcoming stories.